Hello, colleagues. Earlier during my demonstration of creating quizzes on Canvas, we had difficulty finding the imported quiz questions in the question bank. I have realized that when an import is from the Canvas Commons, the questions do not go into question banks. In order for them to do so, it has to be imported from a zip file. So this video will show you how you may import it from the zip file. So right here you see the main page of a typical Canvas course. On the left panel here, scroll to Settings, Import Course Content, Content Type, Canvas Course Export Package. Choose the file. I will make this file available through Stephanie. So I've named it Ernest Goh Questions Template. So save it somewhere on your computer and choose it and open it. All right. Take note that quiz is also put under an assignment heading. So check the Select Specific Content checkbox so that you can select only to import the quiz and not the associated assignment heading. So I've selected this and click the Import button. So over here, the most recent import job will be listed. And if the traffic is not too heavy, it should begin running quickly. And once it has finished running, the Select Content button will appear. Click this Select button. And like I mentioned, import only the quiz. There is no need to import the assignment heading. So the quiz is selected and click Select Content button. Again, it will take a while to run. And when it is completed, you can go back to the quiz page of the Canvas course and you should see a newly imported quiz, Ernest Goh Question Bank Template. All right, before we go into this, on the right side of the screen, there is the quiz button, and next to that, there are the three dots. Click it, and one of the options that drop out is the Manage Question Banks. Right-click this and open this question bank in a new tab or new window. So navigate to the new window or tab on your browser. In the Unfiled Questions bank, you should see additional questions that have been imported. So for example, C1-1, C1-2, and so on. All right. So it is with these that you can move to your own question banks and then make variations of them by just copying more of those questions. So let me quickly show you how to do that. Before I do that, let me show the question details so that I can explain what these questions are. For example, this one, C1-1 is a multiple choice question. So for practice, let's move it to another bank. I shall click this, move it to a new question bank, call it the multiple choice question. All right, move it to the bank. And if you go back to look at all your question banks, a new multiple choice question bank would have been created with that question C1-1 in it. Right. Let's go back to the Unfiled Questions question bank. So the four types of questions that I included in this export and import package, the next one will be the multiple drop down. So let's copy this to another question bank again. All right. And if you scroll further down, this is a different category of question, the C1-3-1. Move to another bank. This one is numerical. All right, take note that this question C1-3-1 and C1-3-2, they are almost identical. This one is to calculate the square root of 10, while this one is to calculate the square root of 11. So I shall move this to the same question bank as the previous one, numerical, to give you a head start on creating nearly similar questions, but with numerical values changed in one question bank. All right, scrolling down further, C1-4 is a formula question. So let's move this to a new question bank and call it the formula question. Okay, C2 was merely to represent chapter 2, but with similar types of question. So we shall not move them. Let's go back and take a look at all the new question banks that we have created and moved questions into. So as you can see, there is now one formula question in the formula question bank. So feel free to copy this to a temporary bank, make changes, and then copy it back here so that you have lots of questions in this formula question bank. So after you have done that repeatedly, you should see something like in this numerical bank, where there are already 2 questions in the question bank. Nearly identical question wording with just the numerical value changed. And of course, the corresponding answer changed. Right, so let's go back to the question banks and have an overview of all of them. So with these question banks sorted out, go back to quizzes, and this Ernest Goh quiz question bank template, if you click it, you can edit it. Oops. Okay, Chrome was trying to start the proctorial. Okay, let me edit it again. Right, and look at the questions. Right, the questions are all there, but like I explained during the demonstration, we can put them into groups and pick a smaller subset of a larger number of questions in a bank. So to do that, do find questions. For example, if you wish to have a section where it consists of all multiple choice questions, scroll to the bank where it says multiple choice questions. Select at least one question into the bank. Create a new group. Let's call it the section A group. And pick the desired number of questions and key in the number of points per question and add that multiple choice question into the section A. So scrolling down to the bottom of this quiz, we see that we have added one multiple choice question at the end, and it was chosen from one of the 2 questions in the MCQ bank. At this point, you may still go ahead and create more questions in the multiple choice question bank. So let me show one example. Let's navigate to the other browser tab, and let me make a duplicate of this multiple choice question. So I click the move copy to another bank. I'll move it to any unused bank, let's say the unfiled questions, move copy, go back to the list of all question banks, go into unfiled questions. I should see another copy of this multiple choice question labeled as C1-1. So I can edit this. Let's call this C1-2. Change the question. Update the question. And I have the C1-2 updated. And I can move this back into the multiple choice question bank. And this time I don't have to keep a copy in this original. It was moved here purely for editing. So I can move it back. And let's see question banks. In the multiple choice question bank, there are now 2 questions. All right, you can keep doing this to create lots of multiple choice questions. Now let's go back to the quiz itself. So now our section A looks a bit pathetic. There's only 1 question to be chosen from a bank of 1. So I have to save this. Okay, and do an edit again. In the questions, scroll down to the bottom. The section A still has that 1 miserable question. Let me click a find questions. Let me click a find questions, multiple choice, MCQ. All right, now we see 2 questions, and it knows that the first one is already on the quiz, and so now you can choose the second one and add it to the section A group and click add questions. So now, yes, we have our section A with 2 questions, and students will be presented with 1 of those questions. So you can do the same to add more questions in the MCQ question bank, and then once you're satisfied with the number of questions, come back to the quiz again and add more questions into section A. So after you have done that, you can click a save, and you may preview the quiz to see how it would look like to the student.